était compliqué à adapter.
Yeah, this is the first book, not that I wrote, but it's the first book that's been adapted. And I didn't expect it at all.
How did you find the experience of having a book adapted into a screenplay?
C'est à la fois c'était très angoissant et en même temps très émouvant. C'était angoissant parce que c'était pas simplement un livre, mais aussi un livre donc qui parlait de ma famille et de Maria, mais aussi on voit nos personnages, mes parents.
Yeah, it made me really anxious, but it was very touching and emotional at the same time because it talks about Maria and my family.
Are you happy with the way the film ended up, and were you a big part of the adaptation?
Alors, je n'ai pas participé à l'adaptation, mais en fait, j'avais rencontré plusieurs personnes suite à la publication du livre. Et c'est Jessica Padu qui m'a parlé le mieux, en fait, de Maria. Et donc, j'ai eu envie de lui confier ce livre. J'ai pas souhaité, je pensais que c'était mieux qu'elle se l'approprie elle, qu'elle s'approprie le personnage. Mon livre, il était difficile aussi à adapter parce que je parlais aussi beaucoup de moi, beaucoup des années 70, beaucoup de ma famille, avait des allers-retours temporels, donc il n'était pas facile à adapter. Je pensais que c'était mieux, et j'ai eu raison d'ailleurs, qu'elle en fasse quelque chose à sa façon.
So I didn't take part in the adaptation, but when I met Maria Padu, I liked the way that she was looking at things, and I thought it was more interesting that she would do her own adaptation and put her own look on this than if I would have had anything to do with it.
And Mariella, you were a big part of the adaptation, is that correct?
Yeah.
And have you adapted a book into a screenplay prior to this one?
No, I didn't do the adaptation. I am not a writer. I just produced the film, but it was not the first time that I adapted a book. And I produced the first movie of Jessica Palud, the director, and the first movie was as well an adaptation of the book. But this one was very particular because it was a true story, obviously.
And a very sensitive story.
Yeah.
And a very relevant story.
Yeah.
And you've been producing for a very long time. Was this a harder story for you to put on screen based on the nature of the story?
Yes, it was difficult to finance the film because we have started to finance the film 4 years ago, and it was before the Me Too movement, the French Me Too movement. It was only at the beginning of the Me Too movement in the US. So in France it was very small. And I have heard some things that can appear today very strange, like what do you want to tell the story of this poor girl? And there is nothing to say more.
It's very hard to watch in certain moments. Yeah. I heard the entire audience just sighing collectively. Really, really difficult story to watch.
Yeah.
What I found really powerful, the film itself is very powerful. What I found extremely powerful was the moments of vulnerability and how that was captured on screen, the moments of silence and the closeness. How did you go about casting for Maria?
Yeah, for Maria it was a very long casting, 8-month casting, and the director Jessica wanted to see all of the French actresses of this age, and after we even start to what is called casting sauvage, casting in the street, you know, and we even met the sosie.
Yeah, someone who really looks a sosie. It looks very much like her.
It was we were very impressed because it was like, but she was not an actress, and the part is quite difficult because you start at 15 and you finish at 35, and you go through some very difficult things to play, to act, and it was obvious that only an actress can do the part. And we met Anamaria, and Anamaria, she's got this energy, and she was very travaille beaucoup. She's working a lot.
She's worked very hard.
A lot, very hard, and she was very motivated.
She has a beautiful naivete that comes across on screen.
Yes.
And Vanessa, how was it for you to see Maria come to life on the screen?
Alors, moi j'ai pas participé à l'adaptation, mais en revanche, on a beaucoup échangé avec Jessica.
So I didn't, as I said, I didn't participate in the adaptation, but we talked a lot with Jessica.
Et en particulier sur le casting. En effet, elle me demandait mon avis, elle m'envoyait beaucoup de photos et j'ai constaté que les sosies existaient vraiment, en effet.
So yes, and we talked a lot, and you know, when we're doing the castings, and I looked at the picture and I saw that doubles of other people, so this really exists actually.
Et après, j'ai rencontré Anamaria, elle m'a fait rencontrer Anamaria, on a beaucoup parlé avec Jessica, avec Anamaria, elle m'a fait lire aussi les différentes versions du scénario.
So after I met Anamaria, and we talked a lot with Jessica and Anamaria, and she asked me a lot of questions, and we talked about a lot of things.
Et donc il y a eu les lectures du scénario, il y a eu, je me suis rendue également sur le tournage et un petit peu au montage.
So they did a reading of the script, and I went also on the set, you know, once in a while, and exchanged ideas.
Et en fait, pour répondre à cette question sur... moi, j'ai complètement oublié, en fait, quand j'ai vu l'interprétation d'Anamaria est tellement juste que pour moi, c'était Maria. J'ai pas cherché voilà, il y avait une vérité du personnage et des situations, et même si c'était une partie de mon livre, pour moi, voilà, Jessica a réussi, et avec Anamaria, à restituer vraiment ce qui était pour moi la vérité de Maria, aussi bien dans ses traits de caractère que dans sa souffrance, dans sa façon de s'exprimer.
So when I saw the movie, I completely forgot that it was Jessica that was playing. Anamaria that was playing. I thought that it was actually, you know, my cousin Maria. There are things about her character, the way that she expresses herself. I was really touched by that.
Et c'est vrai qu'Anamaria a fait un travail incroyable, y compris même dans la voix, dans sa gestuelle,
Even in the voice, in the way that she moves.
Mais pour moi, c'était même pas ça le plus important, parce que d'abord, il y a énormément de gens qui se souviennent pas de qui était Maria Schneider, en particulier chez les jeunes générations, et l'histoire de Maria, elle a quelque chose dans laquelle plein de jeunes personnes peuvent se reconnaître, donc c'était ça le plus important en fait.
What was the most important is that, I mean, actually a lot of the young generations don't even remember who Maria Schneider is. But the whole story and the character is really what is the most touching and what is the most important to convey this.
Is there anything about Maria that wasn't portrayed in the film that you wish audiences could know about her?
Non, j'ai pas du tout de frustration. Après, c'est vraiment la différence entre mon livre et le film, c'est un changement de regard en fait, puisque moi le livre je le fais à travers mon regard et beaucoup à travers mon regard d'enfant, puisqu'on avait un écart d'âge d'une quinzaine d'années, donc alors que là, le film, on est vraiment du point de vue de Maria. Donc c'est deux axes différents sur la même personne.
So it's two adaptations and two different way of looking at things, and I don't think I'm not frustrated at all by the way it has been interpreted and shot. On the contrary, because my book talks a lot about myself and also my family, because there was a big gap in age between Maria and I. But it is also the fact that it is showing who she is. It's a different adaptation and a different look about the character. And in this version, you actually see the events through the eyes of Maria.
Do either of you have any advice for authors who would want to have their books turned into screenplays? As a writer, that's a question that I would love to know the answer to. I do not write books, but I would just love to know the answer.
Non, deux choses. Je pense que quand on écrit, il faut surtout pas penser à être adapté. C'est un travail qui est complètement différent. Et moi, j'ai écrit des livres qui, rétrospectivement, je pense, étaient beaucoup plus adaptables que celui-ci. Et finalement, c'est celui-ci qui l'a été. Donc, après, il n'y a pas de... Moi, j'ai rencontré beaucoup de mes camarades auteurs, écrivains, qui étaient très frustrés, en fait, qui voulaient participer absolument à l'adaptation de leurs livres et qui en étaient très frustrés parce que...
Yes. So yeah, the thing is that I've written a lot of other books that I think would have been easier to adapt than this one. And I know a lot of colleagues who are writers as well, who would actually love to participate in the adaptation of their books. Okay.
Et non, je pense que ça se passe souvent assez mal en fait quand les écrivains veulent se mêler de... Il y a des contre-exemples évidemment, mais quand veulent adapter leur propre livre, parce qu'on a les contraintes ne sont pas du tout les mêmes. Dans un livre, on peut décider de se balader dans plein de pays, d'avoir un nombre de personnages quasi illimité, et puis forcément dans un film il faut faire des choix, et quand on a écrit des choses, on a du mal à renoncer à certains morceaux du livre, donc je pense qu'il vaut mieux laisser quelqu'un d'autre le faire à sa place.
Yeah, and usually it doesn't go very well when writers of a novel want to have too much say in the adaptation, because there are certain choices that you need to make when you make a movie, and they're completely different than when you write a book.
Oui, il y a des choix à faire, ne serait-ce que pour des raisons budgétaires pour un film. Alors
and
que...
even just the budget of a movie, you have to make different choices as well.
Mariella, what was the biggest challenge in getting this movie made?
I think that at the beginning I didn't realize really the challenge, but step by step there are a lot of challenges. The first challenge was to put this story on the screen and to represent, for example, Marlon Brando. At the beginning, I was the people told me that who can be Marlon Brando? It's impossible to do this. Okay, so I said, Jessica, okay, we have to find Marlon Brando first before Maria.
Great choice.
And the first Jessica choice was Matt Dillon on the list, I remember, because I asked the casting director, Stephanie Donker, which is very brave, to establish a list with American English or American actor who can represent something in Hollywood, you know, like a Hollywood spirit, something, and she suggested Matt Dillon, and Matt at the time was living in Rome, and we went to Rome to meet him, and he talked about Maria, and he said that he was very touched by the script, because the script remembered when he was young, and when he was a young, handsome boy, and he was filming for his beauty, and he explained us that this story was very important for him, and we were very touched by this. And I think it's true that when Matt said that he was with us, it was a big step for the film. And after there are other challenges like with the DP, how can you do the set of the tango, for example? Because we didn't want to do the same, but we want to do an evocation of that. So it was a challenge. And yes, there were a lot of challenges in this film. Yeah.
Would you say more than most?
The biggest one?
Would you say more challenges in this one than most of your films?
Yes, definitely. Yes. But I was not thinking about that at the beginning.
So why did you choose this film? I know you worked with the director prior.
Yeah.
But is that
I read that beautiful novel by VANESSA in September 2018. And there was everything in the book, and especially this portrait of Maria Schneider. I liked a lot Maria Schneider, and I offered the book to Jessica, but I didn't think that there was a film. Yeah, but and we talked with Jessica, and Jessica told me, okay, I would like to do the film. I would like to do the film and to shift the point of view in Maria's gaze. So
yeah, the book is lovely.
yes.
The book is really lovely. If you haven't read the book, I highly recommend reading the book, especially if you enjoyed the film, because you'll get so much more information about Maria's life and the life surrounding her. It's really, really wonderful. Any advice for filmmakers who would like to make a film?
Don't stop believing in it, because don't listen to too much people. Yes. And yes.
And Vanessa, are you working on another book currently?
Oui. J'en ai écrit depuis celui-là et je continue un des fils qui relie tout mon travail journalistique et de romancière, c'est vraiment autour des histoires de famille. C'est ce qui m'intéresse le plus, et je trouve que c'est une matière extrêmement riche qui explique les parcours, les destins.
So yes, I've written other books in between, and as a journalist as well, what really interests me and what is most important for me is to talk about the families and dynamics in families. That's what I'm interested in.
Ce qu'il y a moi j'aime beaucoup la scène qu'a choisi de garder Jessica, les scènes au début du film où on voit Maria avec sa mère, parce que on comprend que il y a évidemment le tango, la violence de ce qui s'est passé sur le plateau, sa jeunesse, mais que c'était quelqu'un qui était déjà abîmé et très fragilisé en plusieurs endroits, qui n'avait pas eu la reconnaissance de son père et qui avait une mère qui était mal aimante. Et ça, c'était très important pour moi que ça soit qu'on puisse le comprendre dans le film.
So yes, what I thought was really interesting as well is the fact that Jessica chose to shoot and to show another part of Maria's life when she was younger. The fact that the mother was not really a very loving mother, and that she didn't get any of the attention of her father, and that she was already wounded, and she was already fragilized by this, very fragile.
Yeah, she was broken by a lot of people who she should have been able to trust.
Yeah.
And it's devastating to watch. Such a tender heart, an open heart that she.
Et quand je parlais des peurs que je pouvais avoir avant de voir le film, c'était évidemment sur cette fameuse scène du dernier tango à Paris, et j'étais très rassurée par la pudeur avec laquelle Jessica a traité ce sujet-là parce que je pense que c'était moi la responsabilité que je me sentais vis-à-vis de Maria, c'est que même si elle est plus là, c'était qu'elle voilà que ça soit respectueux de ça, quoi, qu'on la montre pas ni dans sa nudité ni voilà.
So also one of the things that I was a little bit worried about, but then I felt completely at ease when I saw the way that this famous scene in The Last Tango was shot with a lot of modesty, because that's one of the things that I was afraid of. I didn't want, because for the memory of Maria and the way that I know her, I didn't want her to be shown just as somebody who was naked in most movies.
I think the film gave Maria a voice in that moment.
We wanted to do that.
And that's a really powerful thing, especially in today's society, and I think for women and men and anyone who feels like they haven't had a voice in a moment. So I think it was beautiful, and thank you so much for making such a wonderful film and for telling Maria's story. I'm so glad that we get to know her, and get to know her really, because we didn't before. We just kept hearing these stories about her. So thank you for that very much.